Hello guys, and welcome to another edition of Rage Against the Dice. Today, we're taking a very, very special look at the first issue of Conquest. I did say we were going to unbox and have a look at each one, so let's just dive straight into it. I will just say though, at the end of this video there's going to be a bit of a rant. For those of you who like my rants, look forward to that. If not, obviously once I've done the unboxing, you can just, give the thumbs up, obviously for the like. And then be on your way with no harm, no upset caused. So let's get straight into it. As you can see, with everything I do, it is completely 100% still boxed, because I like to look at it for the first time with you guys so you know that my reaction is real, whether that be this is garbage or this is awesome. So let's jump straight into it. Have a look at the back. The back's pretty cool. Shows you what you get in the first issue, shows you second, third and fourth. It shows you the models you get specifically anyway. Down at the bottom here, it does show you what's coming in issue 2 and tells you that the price of it is $4.99. So instead of it being like most magazines where first price is dirt cheap and then the second one jumps straight up, this one doesn't jump straight up till the third issue, which is pretty cool. So look here, you get dice, Death Guard green, 3 Death Guard models, the magazine itself, and I think some range rulers from the look of it. But we're on about issue 1 today, so let's dive straight into it. So here you have the little front bit with the models in, which is a bit of a struggle. It's not, I'm just weak. It's stuck on with that gummy stuff, which I'll no doubt spend hours messing with. So these are the 3 paints that I'm sure most of you have got a stack of now. Retributor Armor, which is a gold. It's one of the higher pigment paints, which is why it's got the white top. And these usually in the UK from Games Workshop directly, I think are around about £3.50. So the magazine itself is $1.99. So just this pot of paint, if you use Retributor Armor, which I think most people do because it's fantastic. Just that paint alone is more than the magazine itself. Abaddon Black. Now, I use black in a lot of things. I do a lot of commissions, and when I do commissions for people, I tend to use Abaddon Black. When I paint for myself, I tend to use Army Painter Black. I find it a bit better. Like many other people have said online, Abaddon Black can go on a bit shiny. I tend to add a tiny little bit of Codex Grey just to take some of that shine out, and that seems to work for me because the black wash will then take it back up to the blackness it needs to be. And then McCrag Blue. So straight away, you've made your money just on a single paint. Whichever one of those it is. If you use Games Workshop paints, it's a bargain. If you don't, you should get it anyway, because you can use it for mixing or anything like that. Your 3 bases, just your standard Slaughter bases. And then you get the Sprue. Now, we have looked at this before in one of our other videos when we did the easy to build unboxing. We will have a look at it again, though, for those who haven't seen it or haven't seen that video, for shame. So you get 1, 2, 3 Marines, one of which is a Sergeant. You get the 3 back pieces. Now, the body is pretty static, as you can see. And so you haven't really got a lot of places you can go with that. What you can do, though, is any other heads, any other backpacks, and any other arms will fit. So if you're one of those people who've bought a stack of these, if you buy yourself a normal Primaris Intercessor kit, obviously you'll get all the stuff you get to build your squad for them. But then on top of that, what you'll also get is extra bits which you can use to spruce these up so they look a bit different. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the lighting, because the lighting seems to have moved. And you can't really see the sprue all that well, so we'll be back in a sec. So there we are, we're back, and that's better. You can at least see it a bit better. So yeah, they do have very static bodies, but they are still quite customizable in the long term. So we'll look at that in more detail anyway. And then you get a starter brush. It's not a brilliant brush by any means. It's not a terrible brush either. It's just a very basic, cheap brush. I would use this kind of thing usually for PVA, for doing bases. I would use it for base coat, doing little bits on scenery and things like that. So let's dive straight into the magazine itself. So we can get rid of this bit now. We'll just throw that to one side. And then we've got the magazine. So let's slip it out of its protective sheath. So, first thing you'll note is you get a poster, which shows you on the inside the fully fledged thing. We did look at this in the previous Conquest video, but it's always nice to look at it again. So you can see there you get a whole host of models. One thing I didn't notice is you get a Chaos Rhino. Now, if you're not going to because I've seen a lot of people like, I want the Space Marines, but I don't want the Chaos stuff. But obviously a Chaos Rhino is just a Space Marine Rhino with extra bits on. So that would add obviously straight across to these guys. So that's pretty cool in itself. Obviously all the scenery, you get the big bunch of paints, you even get some extra brushes. It shows you the subscribe gifts. We're not going to look into those in too much detail because we've already done that. And then it's a giant version of the poster that I have on my wall, if you guys have seen it in some of my videos. So we're not going to look too much into that because it's just a poster. It's really cool. It has got loads of folds in it though, so you're probably going to want to, like, I don't know, put a tea towel over it and iron it out. I will just stress that, don't put the iron straight on the poster, but if you actually put a tea towel or a beach towel or something over the poster and then you iron it, it'll get out most of those creases, and then, you know, you can frame it or something like that as well, would do a similar job. So let's just dive straight in. This is like a 23-page magazine or something like that. I believe, obviously, as you can see, I've just opened it for the first time. So you get a little slip in it, obviously reminding you. This is really cool, actually, because you want it from issue 2, you write your name and address, and you take it to your local newsagent. I actually like the idea of doing it through the website, though. And then it shows you delivered to your door. See, we don't need to look. We covered all this. So, what's this? You get a really nice little Games Workshop store list, so you can locate your closest store. And obviously, these are mainly aimed at people who are brand new to the hobby. I know, obviously, people like myself have bought it as well. Me, mainly, as I said, because I'm doing both. Obviously, I want to show you guys it. It's extra content, obviously. But also, I'm going to build the 2 armies up, and I'm going to give them to my boys at the end. Obviously, I've got a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old. The 10-year-old has played games on here before, and the 3-year-old is desperate to play games. By the time he's a bit older, the Nurgle army will be finished, and because he's gross, because he's a toddler, he's getting the Nurgle, and Harley will get the Primaris, because he's already got Primaris Marines anyway, so it just seems fair. So I am doing both. I am growing the hobby for you guys. Well done. Games Workshop will be proud. And then obviously I'm getting content for me, which gives our channel something to talk about. So let's have a look at the magazine itself. So straight away, you've got an in this issue, and it tells you what comes in the issue, which is the 41st Millennium, History 1 and 2, which is Enter the Dark Millennium if you dare, and then learn about the Imperium and its horrifying enemies. Then you've got chapters 1 and 2, which are the Space Marines and then the Ultramarines specifically. Then you've got the Battle for Luna. Join the action as the Ultramarines battle the force of chaos in the heart of mankind's domain. Then you've got a little bit about the Intercessors, how to build the Intercessors, how to paint the Intercessors, and then the Eve of Battle, which is an introduction to the 40k game. So we are going to skim through it very briefly, but obviously you guys are going to buy it. So I'm not going to read things out to you. Plus, I'm not sure where I'd stand on getting copyright strikes, if I'm honest, for reading this out to you. So, first thing to note is it's got little hole punches, because if you get the collection, you actually get binders for it. If you're only going to buy it as and when, but you do want to keep the magazines, you could also just pick up a binder from your local stationery shop and put it in. So, it's pretty cool, obviously, because it looks very easily rippable, but you can obviously separate those pages and put them in anyway. So, as I said, you get a bit about Dark Imperium, etc., etc. You get some really, really nice Primaris artwork. I really like the Primaris Marines aesthetically. I think the armor looks beautiful. I think the size looks great. I'm not a big fan of the lore and the way it's shoehorned in. I've had this conversation a number of times with a number of you guys online, where I think there could have been better ways they did the lore, but I'm not a games designer and I don't write the lore for Games Workshop, or for Warhammer 40k in more specifics. So, suck it, Kev, I guess. Yeah. So you got this cool little map here, and it shows you your Ultramarines, shows you your Imperial Fists. No, Crimson Fists right there. Space Wolves up here, my boys. Salamanders. Obviously, there's more chapters, but they're not cool chapters. So it says here, I will read this bit to you because it's really, really cool. 1,000 chapters. Space Marines are organised into chapters, each made up of 1,000 battle brothers who proudly wear their chapters' unique colours, markings and symbols. Although there is less than one Space Marine for every planet in the Imperium, they are such powerful warriors that they are still able to protect mankind or humanity. Well, that's debatable. There are many worlds that will just be like, meh, fend for yourself. But yes, in general, Space Marines are absolute bosses. Shows you a few different chapters here. Iron Hands, White Scars, Salamanders, Ultramarines, Raven Guard, Imperial Fist, Silver Templars, and Dark Angels. Which are obviously some of the more famous ones. Obviously missing from that are the Blood Angels and Space Marines because reasons, I guess. So then it tells you a little bit about the Ultramarines. It tells you about Macragge. So I really like this. So I'm assuming you'll get this for a lot of the different chapters, hopefully. So chapter name, Ultramarines. Homeworld, Macragge. Primarch, Gilliman. Nearly called him by the stupid name that everyone calls him, but I relented. Chapter Master, Calgar. Specialisms, Tactics, Strategy, and Adaptability. Codex Adherence. Oh, I really struggle with that word, 100%. So they absolutely follow the Codex. Motto, Courage and Honour. They'll also be nicknamed the Smurfs quite a lot. So if you are new to the hobby and you hear people talk about the Smurfs, that's what they're talking about. So then, of course, here you've got the different kinds of Marines. As you can see across the top there, you've got the different colour helmets for different sergeant, veteran, and lieutenant. So when you're painting up, you can decide what you choose. And then it's also got all your 10 company markings, so you can choose which company you're going to get, because you have their markings, but they also have a different colour shoulder pad border. That's the one. So if you're following the paint guide in this, I'm very much assuming it will be second company, which is the gold. But obviously you can see there's different ones. The thing to remember is this is just a building block for you. You do get Macragge in there, obviously. You do get black and a gold. So it's so that you can start work on it straight away. What it doesn't mean, though, is that you have to stick to those colours. If you like a different chapter or you like a different company, by all means go for it. So again, here we've got Battle for Luna. You got the location, who was involved on the bad guy side or the other side, depending on your point of view, and then the strategic intel. And as I said, I'm not going to go into a lot of this, partly for copyright reasons, partly to keep the video short. I know that's unheard of with me, but there you have it. So you get a little bit about the intercessors, which are the new version of tactical marines essentially, but better. Mark 10 power armor itself, which is what I was saying. I love the look of Mark 10 power armor. It's a bit clean, but it's new, so I guess it would be. And then it shows you how to build. So it shows you about clipper safety. If you are young and you're doing this, like obviously my two boys are quite young and I am going to let them do some bits, it does tell you about clipper safety, so that's really, really important. It shows you how to build them, which again, we've gone in previous videos, so you will want to check those out. We may do a little build from them, and it shows you how to build each one. It shows you the sergeant, it shows you the two intercessors, and they've named them, things like that, so you can really get into the story-wise and things like that of it. Now, they are pretty interchangeable with arms and things like that. You just have to get the posing right, but if you want to build the three exactly as they are on the packagings and things like that, it shows you how, where, and when. Then it shows you how to paint. It tells you first what you will need. To paint your models, you need more than paints and a brush. You need to find yourself a clear, well-lit area. Make sure the surface you paint on is covered in case of spills. If you do spill something, though, you have to post it on Facebook to annoy everyone else. You will need a pot of water to wash your brush out and a tissue or cloth on which to wipe the bristles dry. What you will also need is a cup of tea, which you will often dip your brush in accidentally, thinking that it's your water glass. It's just the way it is. So it shows you how to do your base coat. It shows you how to do the Abaddon Black. And these pictures are really, really big, really bold. So even if you're painting and you don't want to read them, you can copy them pretty well. Showed you the Games Workshop water pot there. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's a water pot at the end of the day. I just use a cup. Or I use the upturned lids from spray paints. But that's just me. It shows you how to do the gold, and then it has a battle here. So, Warhammer 40k is a tabletop game played between 2 or more players, each of whom uses their collection of Citadel miniatures to battle their friends. Here we give an overview of how fun gaming can be, sorry, before we provide some information. I swear to God, some inspiration for your first game over the page. I am vaguely intelligent. I can read. I just seem to be struggling with it today. So then it gives you like a mission briefing, and this is called Battle for Corvin 2. And then next issue will teach you how to play your first game. It says here, get ready for your first game in this. Yeah, get ready. Your first game is next issue. Then it shows you the subscribing thing again because, you know, they can't advertise it enough. Shows you on the back what you get in issues 2 and 3. It's pretty cool. Obviously, issue 2 gives you the dice and the measurements and a small playing mat, which I'm assuming will be about the size of the poster. So, of course, yeah, it makes sense that that's the issue you'd end up playing. Right. So, I'm going to stop the video for a moment, tidy up a little bit, compose my thoughts, and then we'll come back for a bit of a rant. What I am going to say, though, is for £1.99, that's ridiculous value, even if you don't want this magazine, even if you don't want the models. The paints alone are worth it. If you don't want the paints, the models alone are worth it. If you don't want any of them, it's really good to do it just to support the hobby. $1.99. What else are you going to buy with that? You're going to buy a Greg's breakfast meal deal. Well, actually, they're pretty good. But yeah, if you're a vegetarian, so you don't like bacon anyway, and sausage, then you've got £2 to spare because you're not going to Greg's to buy their breakfast meal deal. So go and buy it. Even if you're going to just throw it at a hobo so they can use the poster as a blanket. Go get it. Support the hobby. The more people who buy it, the more it's going to the more the hobby will grow. That's just a fact. So anyway, I'm going to go and compose myself, and then we're going to come back for a little rant about the magazine itself and purchasing business. So yeah. So now comes the ranty part of the video. This is all to do with Conquest and the amount of copies that people have been buying. Now, I'm very much a firm believer that it doesn't matter how many copies you buy. That's your right. If you go in and you only purchase one, that is cool. If you go in and you buy every copy they have, that's also fine. Because that's how capitalism works. Whoever gets there first is able to buy as many or as few as they want and have the funds to be able to. I worked for a paper shop many years ago when I just finished college. So I'm very much aware of how those magazines subscription services used to work, or at least back when I worked there. And that was, if all the magazines sold out of a certain magazine, especially if it sold out very quickly, then a shop would usually order more anyway. But if it didn't, it has the ability to order more. I mean, for instance, our local shop, when I went in and asked if they were going to stock it, said yes, they're going to, and they asked would I like to order in however many copies I wanted. The reason being that I could have ordered 20 if I'd wanted, and then they could have ordered an extra 2 to put on their shelf, or however many stock they wanted to get. I didn't, because I've already subscribed. I picked up some copies so that I could do the unboxing, things like that, because my copy is not going to arrive on my subscription for a month or so, I think it is. I think they said 14 to 28 days, but I'll obviously get multiple issues and I'll get whatever free gifts that I should get. So it's not the end of the world, but in order to be able to get mine up in a relevant time scale, I went and got myself a copy, maybe a couple of extras. But the point is, they have the ability to order you more in. So if you don't get the copy you want straight away, that's fine, but maybe ask if they can order you it. If it's a big chain like WH Smith's or McCall's or places like that, they'll even ring round their other stores for you if they're able to. I know some McCall's are franchises, some aren't franchises, kind of like how a McDonald's works. You know, you can go into one McDonald's and it's slightly more expensive because it's a franchised one. Yeah, I'm watching you, McDonald's. But yeah, so they have the ability to get more. Or, as I said, you can get them direct from Conquest's website. You can buy individual copies of the magazine. And I think they'll let you order up to 10 at a time. But again, only if you're based in the UK. Or Ireland, maybe. I know I've seen a lot of people from Europe, and I've seen some of my American friends who have been slightly annoyed at the fact that they can't get it over there. And if you are watching this, I am sorry, guys. In the case of Americans, you chose to leave us, and you lost out on a subscription magazine. So weigh up those options. You know, no longer under British rule, but no subscription magazine. So swings and roundabouts, I guess. Swings and roundabouts. You did okay for yourselves, though. You've got a pretty nice country, for the most part, over there. So yeah, I think the one thing I would say is stop being douche to each other on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I know I'm guilty of it because somebody posted up a picture today of his one copy, and he made some smug comment about how he picked up his one copy from the 8 that were available, and I couldn't help because I'm naturally a bit of a douche. I couldn't help but give him the old slow clap. You know, well done you. And that was wrong of me, much like it's wrong of the people who were attacking people who bought multiples. It's their right, they're allowed to do it. That's, as I said, how consumerism works, how capitalism works. You know, if you have the funds and you are the first there, you have the ability to purchase those before anyone else. And they can order you more. So yeah, I said it was going to be a rant, but it's more like just a telling off. Stop being a dick to each other. It's not hard. We're all in the same hobby. Conquest is a really, really good thing, especially for new people getting in the hobby, or people who are already into the hobby and they're looking to pick up loads of Primaris, Marines and some paints and things like that. The more copies of it sell, and the more that paper shops and, you know, WH Smiths, Tesco's, Asda's and things order more in and they sell as well, the bigger the magazine will do, which means Games Workshop will look at doing things like this in the future. So if this one does well, potentially look at seeing an Age of Sigmar one down the line, or maybe another Lord of the Rings one. You should think about that, Games Workshop, because Lord of the Rings is getting big again. But my point is, you know, if this does well, everybody does well. Games Workshop bring out more of these type of magazines, which we've already established are a bargain. Now I'm going to go on and address one thing. It's the one comment I've seen online that really, really perturbs me, which is that all the models look the same, and why would you want the same models over and over again? Well, coming from the fact that I'm old as balls, and I started in 2nd edition, where usually you'd get a pack of 3 models or a pack of 2, majority was 3 models in a blister. And you would have to buy that same blister over and over again to get, you know, your regiment, your unit, your squad, whatever game you were playing, Fantasy, 40k, Necromunda, etc. So I kind of grew up in an era where your squads all looked the same because they had to. You know, you only had, maybe you'd get 2 different blisters, blister A, blister B, with 6 different models if you were lucky. But the most of the time, you just had the same models on repeat. Your plastic models weren't ridiculously customizable like they are now either. Your Space Marine basically was this. Same with your Imperial Guardsman. Your Orc was this. Or pistol, or whatever they had at the time. I don't think it was a slugger. Sword. Gretchen. Up here. Beatles bass player. With auto guns. So my point is, we had that for ages, and we survived. We played games of 40k very, very well. Nobody flipped out and flipped a table due to the fact that your models matched. But I'm going to list, obviously that's my own personal experience, but I'm going to list some of the reasons that people might specifically want models that all match, or want to buy a load of Conquest. If you think of any others, pop them in the description below. If you disagree with any of them, pop it in the description below. I'd love to have a chat about it. So the first one is many people play just for the point of playing. They don't care about the aesthetics. And the only reason that they don't just use bits of paper or bits of card with a unit name written on it is because they want to play in your local bricks and mortar stores. They want to play in your local Games Workshop. They want to play in tournaments and things like that. So for that, they have to have, you know, actual legitimate models. And painted up to whatever standard that store or tournament says they have to be painted to. Otherwise, they would just play with bits of card. or they play with Lego bricks or whatever they want to do to mark out their unit sizes and things like that. So some people do not care about aesthetics at all. And so for them, that many Primaris Marines, because you can get like 24 Marines, whatever it is, yeah, about 3, 6, 15. You can get 30 Marines for £20 or £40. I can't do maths today. 2 times 10. Drop that in the comments below. No. No, I actually do. Yeah, so for £20 you can get 30 Marines. That's pretty good. You cannot get 30 Marines for £20, except maybe on eBay. Especially Primaris. And they are customizable. That's another thing I've seen people say, is that they're not customizable, that they're all stationary. Well, they're not. Just among those kits, you do have the ability with some clippers to swap the arms around. Also, the heads on a Primaris Marine are the same size as normal Space Marines. So you can interchange their heads and some of the weapons and things like that. Even backpacks and stuff like that are interchangeable. So if you've already got a bit box full of Space Marine bits, you could have a field day with them and do some really good conversions. I think Black Country Wargaming have got a video up. And if so, if that's the channel I'm thinking of, I'll link it in the description below so you can see that video. But it shows you just some little bits you can do with kit bashes, as GW call it now. It's no longer conversions, it's kit bashing. You can, from that video, you can see, and obviously some others have done some, and at some point we'll do one, because, you know, got to get content from somewhere. But, yeah, so that's another reason. They are convertible using existing pieces. The next would be cost. Some people don't have the money to go out and buy a huge, 2 or 3 units of Primaris Marines in one go, especially to get 30 for £20, or I'm sure my maths are wrong there, but that sounds about right. You couldn't get that, as I was stating earlier. That's 3 whole squads worth, and yeah, you're going to have to swap some heads and things like that, or, most people are fine if you've got more than one sergeant-looking model in a unit, as long as they're armed correctly. I mean, WYSIWYG's a big thing, but whether a Marine has a helmet on or not, I don't think most people are going to kick off too much about. So yeah, I mean, as I said, for some people, they just don't care. Some people, it's the cost. There are, as I mentioned, those douches who are eBay sellers, and if you're one of them and you're watching us, you're a douche. Sorry, man. But if you bought a crap load of them to sell on eBay, you're a bit of an anus. But if you make money from it, good on you. It's some of the best businessmen in the world are anuses. So, yeah, enjoy your money. Well played, you. Yeah, so that's another reason. There's many, many reasons. So next time you think I'm going to post a comment, why would somebody need that many of the same model? Just maybe not think back to this video. Maybe there's some coherent people online who've said exactly the same thing. But yeah, just think of the reasons, just off the top of your head. And they're ones that I didn't pre-plan this video. These are just kind of off the top of my head things that I've been thinking about when I see people put those comments. Because there's a load of reasons. From being old as balls like me and playing back in 2nd edition when all your Marines look the same. Or to nowadays, where models cost a lot more money, and to buy lots and lots of that magazine works out really cost effective to get 3 units of Primaris Marines. And there's loads of different reasons. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Issue 2, when it arrives, which will be the Nurgle, we'll do an unboxing video of that as well. I will start putting up some painting bits, like an update, when I've got those 3 Marines painted. I'm going to paint them up in Ultramarines. I'm going to follow the steps in the magazine as best I can. Obviously, I'm going to do highlights and things like that because I want them to look a bit better than base coated. But yeah, I'm going to follow the steps where those steps are available, and then I'm going to go off on my own tangent. And as I said, we won't do that as a painting thing. We'll probably do it as like a painting update, where we show you the finished models or the partially finished models, and we talk about where we're going with them. But no, guys, as always, leave a like on this video. It obviously helps Alan's ego, which is the main thing. If it's the first time you've ever visited our channel, please check out some of our other videos. Maybe consider subscribing. We put out a lot of content. At the minute, we've been putting out daily content, and we've got a backlog of other content coming up, so that should continue for at least the next few days. We do a lot of playthroughs. We cover a lot of different news things. We are covering a lot of Kill Team stuff at the moment. I can't see that changing anytime soon. Kill Team's really got people excited. There's some new stuff coming out for Shadespire / Underworld / whatever the new one's called. We'll be covering all that as it comes out because we're really excited for it. Hit the bell for notifications because YouTube really does not like to tell you a channel as small as ours exists. And other than that, thank you very much for your time, guys, and pray the dice gods hope they smile upon you. Take care.